Hello, and thank you for watching this ag forecast for the western U.S. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, we have been watching and talking about this wave that's going to make its way across the Pacific and bring some moisture back to the Pacific Northwest, all the way down to California, portions of California, looking at picking up some rainfall here as we get to the end of the week into the weekend. Again, we've been watching this for days, and it is finally making its way across the Pacific right now. If I jump ahead and show you what the jet stream should look like as we get to Friday, you can see it now. This big jet extension across the Pacific will have a little low kind of preceding it that's going to get nudged ashore across central California. That's actually what gets the precipitation going. So California will get less, but they'll kind of get the ball rolling here first as we go from Friday into Saturday. And so if I take the jet stream look right here, I flip it from wind speeds to moisture. We're now looking at precipitable water. You can see the Pacific moisture being transported by this very strong corridor of winds, this very strong jet stream wave. Here's the little preceding wave out ahead of it being nudged ashore across California. So finally bringing some moisture into the west as we get toward the end of the week. Now, we're going to have to go through a few more dry days to get there. This is the satellite picture here, infrared satellite. As we get started on Tuesday morning, you can see the flow still coming up and over the top of that ridge and then digging in across the Great Lakes. So high pressure dominating across the western U.S. here as we get the week started. That's reflected with our 72-hour precipitation map here. Again, a little bit of light shower activity making its way through the Great Lakes. Heavier thunderstorm activity off to the south across Florida and then just off the coast of the southeastern U.S. But again, dry conditions underneath that dome of high pressure across the western U.S., extending all the way really into much of the Corn Belt and the southeast. It's been a dry last few days. Now here's the pattern over the next 5 days on the left and then days 6 through 10 over on the right. Again, we're going to take this trough in the Gulf of Alaska. We're going to take that very strong jet extension and we're going to bring that trough ashore. Now you notice where we're headed in the days 6 through 10 pattern. This is very reflective of where we're coming from. It does look like we're going to eventually build that ridge back in across the western U.S. after this trough comes in. So it's not a permanent pattern here. We're not going to set up a fire hose or a Pineapple Express or an atmospheric river across the west or anything like that. It's going to be a 3 to 4 day precipitation event, and then we're going to keep this pattern going, very likely back toward a pattern that favors some sort of ridging across the west. Now here's the next week, the total precipitation forecast here, and again, much of this falling during the Friday through Monday time frame. Looking at anywhere from 2 to 3 inches across western Oregon to 3 to 5 inches as you get into western Washington on up the coast across British Columbia. And then you follow that down into central California, and we're still talking about a half an inch to an inch, upwards of 1 to 2 inches as you get into northern California. Now, as we talk about temperatures, again, we're going to keep things 10 to 15 degrees warmer than average over the next 3 to 4 days, but then bring in some cooler temps along with the cloud cover and the precipitation as we head into the weekend and early next week. But then you see as the video finishes here, the red colors, the red shading returning right there as we get into the late next week. Again, likely resuming a pattern here that features some form of ridging across the west. So it looks like a few day cool down, a few days with some precipitation before we move back to this very same pattern. Now here's a look at the jet stream winds. We'll animate this over the next 5 to 10 days to show you how this all happens. Now as we get started, again, same pattern, ridge west, trough east. We're bringing a big wave up and over the top of that ridge, digging that into the Great Lakes. That is going to bring a reinforcing shot of some cooler air into the Great Lakes, then again keeping the ridge in place across the west over the next few days. I just heard outside every first Tuesday of the month they test the outdoor warning sirens for tornadoes and severe weather, and we just hit 10 o'clock central here on the first Tuesday. So I have sirens sounding outside. You may hear that on the video, but there is no emergency, and if there were, hey, I'm already recording this video down in the basement. So let's go ahead, let's put this into motion. I'll show you that wave coming up and over the top of the ridge here as we get going into Wednesday and Thursday. Now we start to transition though. What this wave does that comes over the ridge, it also helps to fling this trough. It's going to rotate around the base of the trough. You see it happening right here. Now we're going to dislodge this trough and pivot it out over the North Atlantic. That frees the central U.S. up for ridging and then opens the pathway for this big wave to come screaming in across the Pacific as we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll see a series of waves make their way through. Here's the kind of lead wave making its way into California Friday night. That could get the precipitation started. The main wave then comes in on the backside Saturday. We've got a second wave trailing back behind that makes its way in as we get into Sunday and Monday. That'll bring even more precipitation to likely Washington and Oregon. That one helps continue to keep this trough moving, though, on into the Great Lakes, such that here's where the operational, now this is just one run of the European operational run. This is the deterministic run, but look what it's got for us as we get into October 15th and 16th. This will be Thursday and Friday of next week, day 10. Back to a highly amplified pattern that, again, features ridging across the west, cooler air making its way down into the Midwest. I think this is going to be the background state that takes us into fall. This is really what we've been watching over the last few weeks and what the long range has continued to favor. So the question was always, with this trough making its way in here over the weekend, is it going to stay, or are we going to get going? Are we going to keep it pushing along and make our way back to kind of this little background default state that's very common with La Nina in the background features that we've seen so far? So again, we're getting out into La La land. I'm speculating now about days 7 to 10. We'll leave that for some of our longer range forecasts, particularly tomorrow's long range weather forecast, which Eric will have for you midday. Let's focus on the good news right now, though, and let's time out the rain that we get at the end of the week into the weekend. Again, it'll be dry for the next 48 hours to 72 hours. I'm going to go quickly here through Tuesday. We're already into Wednesday now, Wednesday night. This is Thursday, keeping it dry across the west, getting into Thursday night. Getting that moisture nearby now, maybe some light showers across northwest Washington, and then starting to get the first showers to come across northern California as we get into the day on Friday. Continuing into Friday night, the big surge of moisture makes its way into Washington and Oregon as we get into the day on Saturday. That's going to be the wettest day or 2 days across the west here is going to be Saturday into Sunday. We'll watch that first wave eject then across the Central Plains as we get into Sunday night. Here comes that second wave making its way in here, though, as we get into the Sunday night and Monday time frame, bringing a reinforcing shot of moisture to, again, the Pacific Northwest. This one largely likely going to miss out on Central California, maybe clipping Northern California. A little residual moisture on the backside here, continuing across Northwest Oregon as we get into the middle part of the week, but by and large, I think by late Tuesday into Wednesday, we're shutting things down and probably pivoting back to a pattern that features some ridging. So once again, we'll keep it dry through Thursday, maybe a little bit of light precipitation getting us going on Friday into Friday night. The main wave makes its way in here as we get into Saturday, taking it into Sunday. Second wave Sunday night into Monday, and then Tuesday, we should begin to shut things down. We'll watch this happen again with the accumulated forecasts in animation form, again keeping it dry through the day today. We're already into midday Wednesday on this map now, into Wednesday night. Thursday, boy, those sirens are still screaming outside. Thursday evening now, still dry, maybe a little bit of light precipitation, some mist falling across western Washington, but measurable precipitation starts Friday across north central California and northwestern Washington. Becomes heavier Friday night into Saturday, with the heaviest precipitation falling Saturday into Sunday, and then again Sunday night into Monday, shutting things down as we transition into Tuesday. Fire weather risk, we're not watching anything huge right now. We're watching at least elevated risks across Wyoming. And then tomorrow, the risk, they're not highlighting any areas. We talked about maybe some low-end risk across Wyoming. The big reason for this is because we're still dealing with a ridge in place with heat, low humidity values, but much of the stronger winds associated with any pressure gradients here are displaced from the lower humidity. So we don't have the real overlap with the dry air and the high winds kind of driving things. We just have the dry air in place at this point. Smoke from ongoing wildfire is going to be, again, a problem as we head through the next few days, primarily across California, portions of western and northern Nevada. But as this next wave makes its way into the region, we could see that expanding across the Pacific Northwest, even as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That next trough should clear things back out, though, as we get into the weekend. Here are your highs over the next few days. We're going to keep the heat in place Tuesday, Wednesday, into Thursday. We'll start to cool things down ever so slightly, starting with California on Friday, transitioning to several days of cooler temperatures as we get into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but we will have to watch for the pattern transition as we get into mid to late next week. Do we build the ridge back in and bring heat back into the west, or do we get some sort of disruption that's going to keep cooler and rainy weather going? That will be the question that I'm going to pose to Eric as we head into our long-range forecast opportunities tomorrow. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the moisture if you're getting it there. We'll talk to you again about the west specifically on Friday morning.